It's your open source advocate, and I'm back with another video, and today I'm talking about Bleachbit. Now, Bleachbit is not a website or a web service that you really run. It's really something you run as an application on your machine, and it's Windows and Linux compatible. And it has some pretty great stuff, so I do want to go through the features here a little, and then we'll download it, install it, and we'll kind of go through the use of it, okay? So Bleachbit is pretty cool. It really helps you keep your system cleaned up, clean up extra files, things like that, but it does a lot of other stuff too. It's simple operation. Delete your private files to completely hide them from, where even God can't find them. That's pretty awesome. And he says who gave that quote. It's free of charge. It's translated into 65 languages. There's no adware, spyware, malware, or anything else involved with it. There's just so much here that's really great about the features that you can have and the features that you get with it and you can use for it. It does have a portable app for Windows, which is pretty awesome. That means you don't have to install it. You can just run it on anything, put it on a USB drive, plug in the USB drive, run Bleachbit, and you're done. That's pretty great. It does have a command line interface if you want to do some scripting. You can also create your own cleaners using their Cleaner ML, which is kind of an XML-based language that they use to set up the different cleaners for different applications. So if there's an application that's not included or a cleaner you're looking for to help clean something out, you can create your own and submit those for other people to use. So it really opens it up. And then they have the Windows INI or Windows 2 WinApp2.ini feature set that gives you 2,500 plus additional cleaners. I'm guessing that WinApp2 is something that has a bunch of crapware loaded on it. Again, I'm not a Windows user, so I don't really have to worry about the Windows stuff too much. But for those of you that are, which is I know a majority of the world, just be aware, Bleachbit is a really great tool and it can really help out with freeing up space. Now, I show this one because in the past when I did use Windows, I did have different kinds of cleaners. And you would always hear people say, oh, use CCC, or oh, use this, or oh, use that. And all those things were great, except they tended to clean up things and cause more problems than they actually fixed. And they had, spyware that was like, ooh, what did you clean? Let me see what it was. Or they had adware that they wanted you to buy something, or it was crippleware, where it only worked a little bit until you paid them, those kind of things, which I despise all of those types of things. If you want to make your software pay software, then make it pay software. If you want to make it open source software, then make it open source software. But all these kind of halfway in the middle things, I've just never been a fan of. That's just me. Don't worry. I want to say thank you to all of my patrons over at Patreon and my subscribers on YouTube. Thank you so much for all of your support. I love doing this channel. I love making this media and this content for you. I hope you enjoy it as well. I do post all of the videos now over at Patreon after one of my patrons made the suggestion, and I don't know why it didn't dawn on me before that. But if you're interested in seeing them through Patreon and getting a notification through Patreon instead of through YouTube, or hoping that YouTube's algorithms happens to show it to you, jump over and become a supporter on Patreon, patreon.com. I've got the links in the description and the show notes. I appreciate your support. Thank you so much. So yeah, Bleachbit is just a really nice little tool. So we're going to go out and get it, and we're going to click on download now. So you just go to their site, and I'll give you a link to their site. There's a download link right here. And they have different installation packages. So you have Linux and you have Windows. So they have several different special versions as well. They have the BlackBerry version. So if you're still running BlackBerry something, you can use it for that. Email servers. They have macOS 10 version that you can get and try. Now, what versions of macOS this works with, I don't know, but you'd have to just download it and give it a shot. They do have older versions. Of course, they have the source code if you want to build it. And then they have unstable builds for Windows as well if you're wanting something that may be a little bit newer, but isn't stable yet. So we're just going to go with the regular Linux version here. I don't have a Windows machine. I have a Linux machine. So I'm going to click on that. And we're going to go through the list, and you look here. Look, they've got all these different distributions and versions that you can get out there and try. So I'm on Ubuntu 20.04, so I'm going to just click on that one. And it's going to tell me, download this file, which is a .deb file. Okay, so we'll go do that, and here it is. It pops up, and it says, are you sure you want to get this thing? So I'm just going to say OK. And it's going to download that. So think of a .deb, kind of like the Ubuntu/Debian version of a .exe for Windows, or a .img for Mac, or something like that. So it's the same kind of thing. It's just a little installer program. Now, in order to install that thing, I'm just going to open up the terminal here, and I'm going to increase the font size for us all. So I'm going to cd into my downloads folder. So to install a .deb file, we do sudo dpkg, I call that dpackage, -i for install, and then the name of the file, and if you just tab, it should autocomplete if you're in a Linux shell. We're going to just hit go there, we're going to let it go down, and it says setting it up, processing. Everything looks good. It didn't give any errors, which means we don't need to do an update, a force update or anything like that. So we'll clear that out. Let's just see if we get a user interface. We're going to hit the super key and we'll type in bleach. So we have right here Bleachbit, and then we have Bleachbit for Administrator. Now I'm going to guess that you can do some stuff with Bleachbit, but you probably want to run Bleachbit for Administrator if you can, and it's going to prompt you for your password again. So we're just going to put that in. The first thing it's going to do is ask you about preferences. I know this is a little bit small, so let me kind of center this on the screen. I'll try to zoom in on the video for you guys. So first thing it has is check periodically for software updates, and on my system that's already checked. You can also check for new beta releases. If you'd like to get the betas, you can check that box. I'm not going to. I kind of prefer the stable stuff. It says hide irrelevant cleaners, which is good because you might have a bunch of cleaners that are very Windows specific, and for a Linux machine I don't want to see those. It's just something else I have to filter through. And it could be the other way around too. You could be on a Windows machine and you don't want to see the ones that are just Linux specific kind of cleaners. So it says overwrite the contents of files to prevent recovery. So if you're a very security, privacy focused person, you might want to check this box. But you need to understand that if you accidentally get rid of something you didn't mean to, you're not going to be able to get it back either, because this thing's going to completely overwrite those files to make sure you can't get it back. You can set it to exit after it's done cleaning, so it actually exits the program. I don't really usually set those things, but you can if you want to. If you're going to like set it, leave it. If you're an IT administrator, let it run and then have it just exit when you're done, so you can walk away and the user can come back and continue using their system without having this thing open. You can set confirm before delete, which is probably a good idea, at least at first. If you're not sure whether or not you want everything to be deleted, it's probably a good idea to have this on. But if you're somebody who's very confident in what you're about to do, you can turn that off and just let it do its thing. So here's just a size setting. It can say 1 kilobytes, 1024 bytes, or you can say no, it's 1000 bytes. It just depends on how you want to do it. If you want to check that box, it'll keep it as 1024. If you leave it unchecked, it'll just kind of round it to 1000. Dark mode is enabled, so if I uncheck that box, you can see now there's a light mode, and I apologize for blinding you, but you do have those options. So dark mode looks fine. My system's set to dark mode anyways. Remember the window geometry, so how big you've set it, probably pretty useful. And then show debug messages. So as we go through, there's some custom things that you can set. Nothing for me. Drivers, so it's already got the .cache driver here, that's fine. Languages, so if English is not your first language and you prefer to use a different language, you do have a lot of language options, and as it said on their site, 65 plus languages I believe. So you do have that option if you're not wanting to use it in English. Then you have a whitelist, so if there's certain things that you want to keep and you want to make sure Bleachbit never catches it, you can add files and folders and other things to a whitelist so that it won't be trying to get those things and get rid of stuff for you. So this is kind of your first setup. We're looking like we're pretty good. I'm just going to hit close and let it go to the main UI here. As you come to the main UI, you have a lot of things you can check here, and you can check them at the folder level, so it'll check everything under that you see. You can uncheck it to get rid of that again. So this is in our apt area. If we want to clean up apt, we have bash if we need to clean that up. We have a deep scan, so it's going to look at .ds store, backup files, temporary files, thumbnails, the little database of thumbnail stuff, Vim swap files, and then moving on down, we get to journal D. So this is where system D can keep up with a bunch of stuff, but maybe the journal gets kind of full. It can help clear that out. Then you've got your system info that you can get rid of a bunch of stuff too. So you have broken desktop files, you have your cache, you have your clipboard, custom, free disk space, localizations, which means other languages that you may not be using. So if I only use English, I don't need every other language on earth inside my system because it doesn't benefit me and it just takes up space. And it may be the same for you if you're a Spanish speaker or Hindi or something like that. You may not want all the other languages. You may just want the one that you use all the time. Memory, so freeing up memory that's just being kind of held in place for no reason. Recent documents list, rotated logs, temporary files, and of course the trash. So I'm just going to go crazy here, and I'm going to click all of these top level guys. Let's see. All right, so it gives you a whole bunch of warnings about these here when it does the deep scan stuff, so just be aware of that. We're going to go ahead and let it check out Journal D. We're going to do the system, and then it's going to warn us again. It says this option is very slow. we're just going to go ahead, and it tells you kind of what the deal is. This option is experimental and may cause system problems. So this one is the system memory. So I may go back and uncheck that. So I may cancel that one. There we go. So system memory isn't checked. We could go back to some of these that said like, hey, this option is pretty slow, but we're going to let it run. That's the beauty of video. I can just time lapse it for you guys. So now that we've got that ready, we've got this clean button right here at the top. We're just going to click on clean, and it's going to just prompt us and say, are you sure you want to do this? It says the deleted files that are going to be deleted may have changed since you ran the preview. Are you sure you want to do this? I shouldn't have anything that's changed because I'm not doing anything. So I'm going to click on the delete button here, and it's going to start going through and doing some stuff. And you can see right here where it's going through and getting rid of a bunch of different stuff. So it says, please wait. It's running a deep scan, which is good. Gives you the information that it's looking for. So it says, please wait, wiping free disk space, and it says about 15 minutes remaining, which is fine. You can just let that thing run, and I'll be back when it's done. But I did want to say, I got introduced to this tool probably 5 or 6 years ago, actually, and I just haven't thought to do a video on it, but it's actually a tremendous tool. I had somebody at one of my Linux user group meetings, and he wanted to borrow my laptop, and he was going to have to log into his email through the laptop, and he was concerned about that. He was a privacy concerned person, which I understand completely. And he said, do you mind if I run Bleachbit on this to go ahead and get rid of a bunch of the files that are going to be kind of cached inside of the browser? And I said, no, it's fine. So he pulled out his little thumb drive, set up Bleachbit, and ran it. And it cleaned everything up, which was really cool. I thought that was a really great tool then, and I've used it since then, and it's just never dawned on me to do a video about it. But Bleachbit is really a very nice tool. I haven't run it on this machine, and obviously because it wasn't installed, but I have it on some of my other machines that I use on a pretty regular basis. And it does help keep things very cleaned up. I've not had any issues with it getting rid of stuff that I actually needed or wanted to keep. And there's some pretty great add-ons as well, so we'll kind of check those out after this finishes. Alright, so it finished up. It did take about 15 or 20 minutes to run that whole thing, but you can see here what it freed up for us as it went through. So we're at the top level, 3.9 gigs, so 4 gigs right there. Up here, let's see, we got another, on apt, we got another almost 4 gigs freed up. Down here it gives you a total, so 8.31 gigs. So I mean, that's just a lot of files filling up your drive and your space. And why? I mean, if it's just junk, why not get rid of it? So Bleachbit did a pretty awesome job there, and that's just the straight up install of Bleachbit. Now if we go here to the little hamburger menu and we click on the down arrow, or we click it to open it up, you'll see that you have some other options. So you have shred files, shred folders, shred paths from the clipboard. So if you don't want to keep your clipboard data on there, you can just shred it real quick. You can wipe free space. Now this is the one that takes quite a while, but it'll go through and actually wipe out all the quote-unquote free space of your drive. Because as you know, when you delete something, it doesn't really get deleted. The system just kind of marks it in a way that says, okay, you can overwrite this whenever you need to. Whatever data was here isn't important anymore. So the data's not really gone, and somebody with any kind of free open source software can actually recover that data. So if you wanted to overwrite that and actually wipe that quote-unquote free space, you can do that with this tool here. I don't know what make chaff is, but then you have shred the settings and quit. You have preferences, which we kind of started with in the beginning. System information, help, and about Bleachbit. So if we go to system information, you can see some information here about Bleachbit itself, about the system. And if we open up the preferences, you can see that's where we started in the very beginning. So I reopened Bleachbit in the non-administrator mode just to see what it looks like as well. So you can see it looks about the same actually. But in this case I have an extra option for Chromium, which is the free and open source version of Chrome. So here I could just check this and it's going to say this option will delete your saved password, so you might want to be careful about that. So basically the Chromium passwords database, so you can just hit cancel so it doesn't check that box. But then everything else it has, it's just going to clean that up for you. And if that's all you check, then you can click on clean. It's going to warn you again. You hit delete. It's going to run through, and it's pretty much done. So it's just cleaned out the browser, and we're finished. Everything is good to go, and Chromium has been cleaned up. And it shows you got rid of about 57 megabytes of data, which is, you know, still a lot of data. I mean, I'm going to date myself here a little bit, but my first PC was a 386 with 2 megabytes. That's 2 megabytes of RAM and 40 megabyte hard drive. So we just cleaned out more than the entire hard drive of my first computer could hold. That's not my first computer. My first PC could actually hold, in a split second. So I mean, that's pretty amazing that this tool can do that, and it cleans up your Chrome and Chromium stuff. You have options for Firefox the same way. So again, it'll say this will get rid of your passwords. Just hit the cancel if you don't want to do that, which I don't. Epiphany I don't use, but I'll go ahead and click it. And same thing with passwords. And then that one says this option deletes all bookmarks, so you might want to be a little bit careful about that. Again, I don't use Epiphany, so it's fine. Then we have Google Chrome. Again, you get the warning about the save password, so you can hit cancel there. We've got Gpodder, so that's a podcast downloader. So when you run in non-administrator mode, you get a whole lot of other applications that you might want to go ahead and take care of as far as data goes. So you can just kind of scroll through the list on your system, and you'll see what all applications you have that you can kind of take care of. And then you can have it go through and actually clean those up. So let's just say VLC Media Player, Vim. I don't use Vim very much. X11, thumbnails. So here we've got System again, where it's got all the stuff. We just did the system clean out, so I'm just going to leave that one as it is. Slack, yeah, we can go ahead and clean up Slack. Pigeon for chat, probably didn't have anything. LibreOffice, Journal D we already did. Yeah, so we've got quite a few there. So again, we'll just click on clean. We'll confirm. We're going to let this thing run, and it gives you a little system check there. So this time it just cleaned out 500 megabytes of data pretty fast. So again, a lot of just excessive stuff that gets kept by the system and kept by the programs and things that you might not want out there. And so this really sets you up for a good privacy setting on your computer. If you remember to do this pretty regularly, it can really help. And again, remember, they've got scripting, so if you want to write a script to run through these things, you can do that as well. So I really think that's great. Bleachbit is just a really, really amazing tool. It's free. It's open source. You can go out there and get it today. You can contribute back to it if you want to. If you're a Windows user, you're going to see even more options than you see here on the Linux version. But even for Linux users, this is just a really great tool. I hope you enjoyed this. If you did, like, subscribe, tell your friends about it so they can come along in the journey with us. And I'll talk to you next time.